This is Figuccio at Don Figuccio Studios. I'm doing a stream tonight. I've been wanting to do one for a little bit now, but it's been really busy and hectic the past week. But I think this is actually the best time to do it because I got everything's in motion. I literally just finished up doing the track list. It's gonna be 13 tracks. Yeah, to me, this is my best work yet. So, I'm very pleased with it. I don't think it could have really gone any better. Just the whole recording process. This has really been, it's been my most productive and, most productive year of music, just creating and how I've grown as an artist and artistically, and just how the music has gotten better. I mean, to me personally, I try to look at my stuff in a realistic aspect, so that I can I gauge where I'm at, and if it's really worth doing it anymore. And that's what really gave me the motivation this year to just give it my all, because I was at a point where I just I was just gonna stop doing it because I kind of lost motivation at one point. But here I am, and I've released more projects this year than I have my entire music career since I started doing music. So I feel blessed that I've gotten the opportunity to do that, and that I had the time, and the money to that allowed me to make it happen. So yeah, up to this point, I just like every time I do the live, then I'm always trying to like look back at everything, because really this G2, I like to start from the beginning every time. But really G2 it's considered an album. So to me, a lot of the other projects I released were considered mixtapes, except for another one where I consider that an album. And this one really, it's been a collective, not of songs that I've done, but a collective of all of the recording and the time and energy that I put into. And you can see it in the music. I just have grown as an artist, and I developed my own sound. And that's really was my goal initially. When I started the music thing, I wanted to, find my own type of sound and be an individual in music. I didn't want to like bite off other people, but I was influenced. There was a lot of influence from artists, obviously. I mean, that's just how music is. If you're not influenced by an artist, then you're not really an artist, I guess you would say. What makes people artists is other people's art that made them want to do the art to begin with. So I had that, and I've had that for years. But so now I go back to. I mean, I don't want to go back to the whole history. I really do want to, because this is. It's been a long, long time that I've been recording music. I haven't really been putting it out a lot because I wasn't confident in the content I was creating for a while. And once I finally hit this year, it was really. This is. I was like, okay, this is where I'm at, and this is where I wanted to be. Everything isn't perfect, and I wouldn't say that everything's perfect exactly how I want, but I'm at the point where I'm confident in the music. The music itself is good. I like it. I listen to it on a daily basis. So if I didn't like it that much, then I wouldn't be listening to it as much, and I wouldn't be putting it out, really, to be honest with you. Um, but it's called G2. So now G2, I have a lot of different series of tapes, and I like all of the names. It's all different, and they all have a different meaning. It's not really like a personal. It's somewhat like a different type of personality of me, I guess you would say. Different energy each title, but G2 is really like my favorite title. Um, so G2. So the where G2 stems from is, so My original, well, actually, there was a song. Originally, what happened was I came out with a song. I never released it, but it was called Goat. So it was like probably when on my early in my career in music. It was maybe 2017, I want to say. 2018, I thought of this acronym because everybody was using the term GOAT during that time, and I was like, okay, they were saying greatest of all time, and I was like, and I developed my own acronym, and it was God orchestrates all things. And I kind of took that. I was like, that's really, it's, it makes sense. And to me, I felt that, and I experienced it, God orchestrating all things in my life. So, that one really hit home. I got a couple other ones, but to me, that one really meant something to me because I've experienced it in my life. So I go, God orchestrates all things. I released the song. I didn't release it. I recorded the song and I made it, and it just always stuck with me. And I knew I wanted to like have an album. I was like, that's what my album, like an official album for me was Goat. So years went by and there was like times where I released like projects, but they're very sloppy and not cohesive, and it was kind of like just kind of rushed put together. I wasn't as skilled in all the areas that I am now. So I released other projects during that time, whatever. But eventually I went through years and years and years, and I got to the point where I was like, okay, now I want to I finally want to release God orchestrates all things. And it was like 2022 maybe I started recording God orchestrates all things, and it was like a whole year I did recording kind of. It was really, yeah, it was like about a year I did all the recording for Goat. So within that whole year, and I got to a point, so I recorded for like a year, and then I was like, okay, this is what I got, and I'm gonna put it together and go. And I liked Goat. Go, I could go back on it. There is songs on it that I enjoyed, and it was a very special time in my life. So it resonates with me, the God orchestrating all things, because to me that was one of the biggest times in my life where it was true, because of the circumstances I was dealing with, like. I never really got into like my background, but in 2020 I got like three DUIs. I got three DUIs in 1 year, and I ended up having to do like 2 years in jail, basically. Three DUIs in 1 year, and I did 2 years in jail from 2020. I turned myself in. I was actually on the run for like 6 months. I ended up turning myself in November 2020. And when I turned myself in, I was like, okay, I was just gonna do the bid, whatever, do the time. I didn't think it was gonna be no 2 years for no DUIs, but I ended up doing 2 years. And it was like a very trying time in my life, and I was still sticking with it, and I was trying to be faithful and committed to God, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna stay on the right path no matter what. I'm just gonna not deviate and just try to give it my best shot. Even though despite I went and did the 2 years, and I was kind of disappointed in that, and I really wanted to give up and just be like, yeah, screw it, who cares. But I ended up, I was staying with it, staying faithful, and I ended up getting out. What was it? September 2022. So once I got out, September 2022, then that was like more struggles that I had to go through. I had to ride e-bikes everywhere, because then on top of the 2 years, I had 7 years of probation, which I'm still on probation, and then I got 10 years of my license suspended, which was like even killed me probably even more than the 2 years in jail, because this whole time I'm like, jeez, I'm like, how the heck am I gonna get out of this? So I was really, back against the wall, and things were uncertain, but I was still on the path of, doing the right thing. And this is all like leading up, not to give like my whole life story, but it kind of just puts things in perspective of what I was facing and the things I was able to overcome and I use the acronym God orchestrate all things, because as long as I was staying on the right path, doing the right thing, these good things were happening for me, and I was able to accumulate accumulate things. Like the picture is me. I'm on. That's an e-bike that I got. Um, and that was like maybe the sixth e-bike that I got at that time, and that's like a $3,000 e-bike. That ain't no cheap bike. So I was able to work myself up to an e-bike or to an expensive e-bike, and there was a lot of different blessings and things that I really was blessed in a lot of different ways. So then I got to release Goat, and it was at like the perfect time, honestly. Because that's what I was truly experiencing at that time. So the music was from like a real place, and that's when, to me, I think it's the best type of music when you're actually gaining experience. Fast forward, so that was 2023, that got released on Christmas. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna release that one on Christmas. And then I go, okay, then this whole area time period goes by, and I record and release some like projects here and there which are okay, and but I don't really like revisit them. Then I went through a whole bunch of other things, and I was kind of like, at this point where I was building this company up, Fagutio Studios, the LLC. So I started the LLC. I ended up, because I had another artist on my label who's technically still signed to me. He's an artist from Chicago. I went out there, he ended up doing the deal, signing up, and I really do have some stuff coming out with him. It's just a matter of time. I wanted to get all my stuff. So I had such inspiration, so I kind of just like focused on me, because I was like, this, I don't know how much longer I'm going to be able to do it or have this motivation and be this inspired. So I wanted to try to catch lightning in a bottle, catch everything that was going on at the time. So I got back from Chicago, and I was like, okay, at this point, I'm just gonna drop a tape, or an album. I consider it an album, and I was like, yeah, it was like, kind of like all the other projects. I was like, okay, I'm gonna drop it. But then when I started recording, I started getting all these different sounds, and it was like, whoa, what the heck's going on? I was like, this is like a whole another level I was on, and I wasn't even like recording for a while, so it was strange. But the crazy thing about music is the experience sometimes that feeds the music. So all the experience that I was going through, and it was a lot of trials and tribulation, and then I got out of that, and then I dropped the 9/29/92, which is my birthday. And that was like a do or die moment for me. I was like, okay, this might be my last one, so I kind of just dropped it. So, and I was satisfied with it. I loved that album. I was playing that album for like 2 months straight. Wasn't listening to nothing else but that album. And I was motivated again, so I was like, you know what, I'm gonna and now at this point I'm just gonna drop every holiday. So then I dropped my birthday, I dropped Halloween, I dropped Thanksgiving, I dropped Christmas, and then I dropped New Year's. So I just went on a crazy run. I was just recording like crazy, because I just kept getting better songs, better sound, different sound, and I enjoyed it. And I was just continuously just listening to my music. It wasn't like I wasn't listening to anybody else. I was just listening to my stuff. That's how inspired I was, and it's the God honest truth. I'm not like trying to blow smoke. I just was like, I like my stuff. I like where I'm at. I like the lane I'm in. So I just kept feeding it, and it was all natural. And everything I was going through was like real and raw. Like I was just coming out of, a bad place. And it was either I go back to that bad place, or I just record. So I threw all my experience into the music. And that's why I feel like it was just so, to me, I enjoyed it. I'm not saying it's like the greatest music in the world, but I knew it was raw, and I just liked the music. I mean, I don't know. To me, it was inspiring to me, even at the time, because I was like, this is the best music that I've ever really made in my life. So I just wanted to keep making it. It just shows you, if I really wasn't too inspired, would I have dropped all the projects I dropped in that period of time? I dropped a project every month. I dropped 9/29/92, Dawn of the Dawn 3, 9 Mile, God Put Me On 3, and then Cold Front 2. Yep, that's all the ones I dropped. Yep, that's 5 projects. That's 5 projects. Oh no, yeah, 5 projects in 5 months. And then I was kind of just gonna go hard until the end of the year. Um, but then I was like, I don't know. I still liked, how I was progressing musically. And then the thought of G2, so that's where G2 comes from. And I like the sound of G2. I was like Goat 2. I don't want to do Goat 2 because it's kind of like, all right, it's already God orchestrates all things is already established. That's the series. I'm hoping it'll be a trilogy, but I can't guarantee that. I don't know. I don't know where I'm going from here because G2 to me is it's my best work yet. It's like just so much stuff went on during the recording. Like it's just I can't even like if people were actually like to talk about it like and I could explain and like it's really really a deep, interesting story to be honest with you. And there's a lot of different like I don't know. It's just it's very deep. A lot of things that went on, and I could go on and on about it. But that story's maybe just for me, or at some point in time, maybe I'll be able to tell it, because I think it definitely has value. But I don't want to just share it. You know, until like maybe this comes to something, then it'll be a special time to share. But right now I'm focused on G2. So like I'm saying, G2 is God orchestrates all things too. It's just a second, but the G and the two, I like the sound of it. I just liked it. It goes good. G2 is like an airplane. I was like, sounds good. And the obviously the visual, the picture in the background is the cover art. So on the first cover art, I had the same thing with the puppet strings, which is like like the Godfather theme. But the Godfather theme is like the Don is controlling the things like a puppet master, and to me, it's God's controlling things like a puppet master. And I got the cross on the right, and then I got the tombstone on the left, because like you could, and I'm in a crossroad, because that's where everyone reaches that point in life, for the most part, where you gotta either decide you're gonna go the right way or you're gonna go the wrong way. So. It's deep. I like to have a lot of things to where it's thought out and there's meaning to it. I don't just like to throw stuff together. And I create the art myself. I don't just send it to somebody. I do it all myself. So, I got G2 intro out now. That's on streaming platforms, all streaming platforms. Right now, I just put together the track list of G2. It got a lot of good songs on it. Um, I mean, to me, it's my best work. I gotta say. I'm not saying that I wouldn't release it if it wasn't ready, or if I didn't think it was. I think it's better than all the other things that I've had before. It has different types of sounds, and that's the thing about me. I'm not like always just like a one sound type of guy. I like to because I grew up on albums, and the albums that I used to listen to were like different types of sounds from the artist, so you could hear different perspectives from them. It's like a different side of that artist. Um, and sometimes a lot of artists nowadays is kind of just like every song is similar, to the same one. They all sound the same. But yeah, G2 is dropping tomorrow. It's been a process. I put everything really I had into this, and I'm kind of just, I'm beat down from it, to be honest with you. I really just gave it my all. I put everything, my whole essence, my whole being, and all my experience into this project. A lot of people can't say that. They just, go in, they record, and this is truly me putting my soul into the music. And that's why at this point, I know I could walk away from it. I don't know if I'm gonna. I still have aspirations for another project after this one, to be honest. But it's kind of like I have kind of I overdid it. Not overdid it, but I did exactly what I wanted to do. and even a little, maybe a little bit more. And I'm satisfied with it at that point. You know, I just hope, I just want to want to have a chance for people to hear it, to actually, you know, be like, you know what, this is actually all right. He's actually all right. Like I throw my stuff out and I get promo. I can get some outreach and stuff, and you know, I don't know if it maybe it doesn't land on the right person's ears or something, to where it blows up. You know, maybe it doesn't. You know, I still enjoyed making the music. I was grateful, and it's still music that I listen to. I listen to my own stuff, and I think I'll always listen to my music. Always go back on it. Um, so I'm okay with it. I'm okay with where I'm at. You know, I'm not disappointed. My whole thing was, it wasn't whether or not people liked my music or not. It was whether I actually gave it a shot. Um, gave it my all, and I knew I could walk away and be like, okay, I did everything that I possibly could, and I'm at that point. I did promotion. I've done promotion. I've done my own music videos. I've done the album art. I've dropped projects that are on legitimate streaming services. It's not like it's just a bunch of crap that, you know, I just upload and on YouTube. I literally put it on all streaming platforms. You can find it on all Figuccio that done. You know, I'm just at a place where, yeah, I'm okay with it, and you know, some people maybe they don't like it. Maybe they do. You're always gonna have a mix. Not everybody's gonna like it. And I try to blend different genres together. Not to say like I'm like, you know, I mean it's mostly kind of like trap ish, but I feel like the melodies and stuff that I have contain elements of rock and I wouldn't say country, but you know, I don't know. It's just different, yeah, different type of music, and I still have elements of rap, you know, because that's one of my favorite genres. Rap and rock really have been my favorite genres since that influenced me to even make music. So I really, I mean, at this point, it's kind of like just I just want to update this and just drop this kind of like time stamping. I wanted to get this out there just to, you know, maybe if there's some type of engagement, then you know I was gonna get into it. I mean, but it's really I've kind of got on every time I was releasing a project and done this. So that's why I'm continuing to do this. This is a part of the rollout. I've kind of, you know, went over the same things over and over again. I could go through every project, you know, but I feel like you know there's no point in it. You know, I enjoyed every project, and it was a time in my life. It was like I got to document periods of my life through the music. That's what I loved about it, and it was great, and it was just so inspiring. And I'm not like over it, but it's the most music that I've ever dropped, that I've ever created in that time span. Probably I don't know if it's more music that I've ever created entirely this whole time, because I was allowed to. I was fortunate to where I was able to make music, and I had time on my hands, and I, you know, there was times that I wasn't working, you know, that I didn't have things occupying me, and so I was like using that time. I was like, this is what I want to do. I want to actually dive into this music thing, and I dove in and I went to places that I'd never been before musically. Like honestly, a lot of these songs on G2 I didn't even write down. Like I got to a place where I was just creating songs off the top of my head. Like it was, I like I didn't even write the song down. I would just record it, and I just go through the song, and I just make them, literally out of my head. It was amazing to me, the whole process, just to even think about it. And I never thought that it was like possible. Like how do people even do that? I was like, that's not even something that could be done. And I did it, so I know that it can be done. So I know when some artists say that they do it, maybe they do, but I know that I did it. So that was one of the things that I wanted to do. Actually, like just know, because that's what Little Wayne was like. One of the biggest artists to me when I was growing up. Um, yeah, he was like my favorite artist at the time. And you know, he went. There was a point where he would write stuff, and then he got to a point where he just put the pen down, and that's where I got to that point. So I was like, okay, I want to like try to actually push myself, and I was at the point where I would just sit there with the mic, and it'd be like 3 hours to go 3 hours, and then it would take me about 3 hours, I'd say, to construct a song off my head, and not even write nothing down at all, no paper, no pen. So, that was another whole experience that motivated me, and I was grateful to do, and I still did it. A lot of these, most recent songs, which I think it's like every time I get close to the album when I knew it's gonna get released, that's when the songs just get better. And it's funny because the most recent songs that I made are probably my best. Like these other two, these like three songs that I got, they're really like a banger. Like I got some, I'm not gonna lie, like this one song's a banger. It's just like the song sticks in your head. Like it stuck in my head so much. It was like I was able to like just memorize the song. Like after listening to it like a couple times, and it's just one of those. It's not like super lyrical. It's just so catchy, and it's just the beat when you like get the right beat and the right song, and it's just the marriage of the two is what I always look for. And it's like never happens when you expect it. Even when you're done recording, you're like, I guess it was all right. Then you go back and listen to it. It's like, wow, that's probably my best song. It might be. Um, I have songs that I consider personally I consider hits. If it would get the right exposure and get in front of the right people, I think it's hits. I feel confident in myself that I could hear a hit. And I'm not saying a lot of my songs, I wouldn't consider them hits, but I'd say I got at least three songs that I consider like a hits that could be like a global hit potentially. But at this point, G2, I was considering maybe doing a listening party. Maybe I'll do it tomorrow. Tomorrow's Easter, so like that's why there's all these different connections, because it was like I released the first goat on Christmas, and then I released the second one on Easter. So I was like, I mean, like I picked it, but I didn't like plan it. Like initially, I didn't say, oh, I'm gonna release Goat 1 on Christmas, and then I'm gonna release Goat 2. I didn't even know if I would release a Goat 2. So then, it ended up being on Easter. It could have been anything. It could have been any one of the projects, but it ended up being Goat. It's just funny, the connections. I didn't plan these things. It's just how it happened. So I continuously see these types of like signs and connections. Maybe it's just maybe it's not the fact that it's, oh, this is the one or something like that. It doesn't matter, like whether it is or it isn't. I'm at the point where I'm just content. I'm just trying to like I just keep going. Always I've been obsessed with the finding of the purpose. Finding my purpose, finding my place, my place, my place. So I just keep going and going and going until I get there. And fortunately, I'm not in that dark place. So it was like, regardless, whatever happens with this music, um, the music was used to get me out of that dark place. Literally, I took all the bad energy and negative stuff I was going through, and I just threw it into the music. And that's where I could like always revisit where, because it was just like it was an ugly place at times. Life can get ugly, and it definitely gets ugly for me, a lot. Even though even the days I'm not in that dark place, even recently, things happen to me. Even though I'm, doing the right thing, I'm not screwing off. But there's still things, that's wrong with me, and I gotta focus on it. I still got, I'm still adapting, still changing. And I think that process just goes on until you're dead. And that's for everybody. I know people get on these platforms and they try to act like perfect and almighty and whatever, but I'm just I just try to be me. I try to be the best me. That's why I feel like it's kind of like a turn off for some people. It's like he tried. Why does he try to be? Try so hard. Maybe I don't know. Maybe people are just mad at that. But to me, that's just been in me. I want to be the best version of myself that I can be. I don't think there's anything wrong with that, but people don't like seeing that. People don't like seeing you push yourself because it makes them feel uncomfortable that they're not pushing themselves and they don't want to push themselves, but they feel like they got to when they see somebody that's doing it, and it makes them uncomfortable. So I'm like that type of guy, basically. And whatever, and that's fortunate for me, and I guess unfortunate for them. But yeah, at this point, I'm grateful that I could get this opportunity to drop a project. There's some people that wanted to pursue music, didn't get to, didn't have the time, didn't have the money, or so I got to kind of I'd say go out on my own terms. I'm not saying this is the last project, but if it was, I knew that up to this point I've put all my energy, like I said, everything into it. I wasn't just like a rinky dink, oh, I'm gonna record one song every week or something. I literally was recording all the time, 3 songs a day sometimes, 3 hours, hours and hours. It was a job to me. I took music as a job because that's what I wanted it to be. So I was like, if I want it to be a career, then I have to take it seriously enough to actually put the energy into it. So, I'm fine with it. If it wasn't meant to be or something, whatever it is, I'm okay with that. And that's really all I have to say on the subject. There's not much more really to say. It's just I want the music to speak for itself, but I gotta, give my little spiel because this is this is something that's really special to me. It's a project that really really means a lot. And I want to give it justice. I don't want to just to go by I didn't just drop it and not have nothing to say about it. And this is, I just want to speak about it and give it its just desserts because it deserves that for sure. Because it's I put energy and I didn't just I just didn't just throw it together. There was hours and I don't want that to go, and there's money put into it. It's not like I just I literally pay to make music. I don't get paid to make music. So that's the difference. That's how much you could tell I'm really into this and passionate about it. And there's it's like there's some players that play for the paycheck and some that play for the passion, and I'm just the guy that got the passion for it. Fortunately or unfortunately, but that's just how it is. And people can't say that, and if anybody says that, whether it's good or not, who cares? But they can't say that I didn't give it my all and put everything into it, and that's where I'm okay and content with, and I got no regrets from it at that point. So at this point, that's all. I mean, G2 tomorrow, finally here. It's been, well, we could say honestly the project has been technically 10 years in the making. Because I've been doing this for 10 years. And it's my best project. I could say that. It's my. The thing is, all these projects are special to me. Like artists say that they're it's kind of hard to pick a project because all the projects in a way hold a special place, and that's what I like about my music is kind of or my projects are for different times and different times of the year. Because one time I'll be listening to one of my projects and I'll be like, I don't really like it. But then it's I'm in a different place or it's a different season. And I'm like, oh, you know what? I'm really feeling it now. Again, so that's just how music is, and that's what I like about this because I recorded basically every season. It's I was recording in spring, in winter, in fall. So I got to go through all those emotions and the change of the seasons within the music, and the music changed, and so I don't know, I'm passionate about. I could talk about the music all day, but I'm not going to continue to harp on the same things. If there's any questions, I can answer them, or just if people just want to conversate, whatever it is. But the music is, I don't know. You can check it out. It's on the page. It's right there. I got some TikTok promos going right now. Just a couple of shorts. Nothing too crazy. That's what I'm saying. I'm like a one man. Not gonna talk it up. It's just this is the reality of my situation. This is all the work I do when I put into this music. I'm like my own. Well, I really am technically a label because it's LLC. It's a business. It's Figuccio Studios. So, and it's got an LLC. It's not like it's no rinky dink. Just made up a name, and there's no official backing behind it. I mean, I have an artist on my label. And I drop music consistently, and there's promo going on. So it's the same concept. I do things just like a label. Same thing. It's on a smaller scale. That's it. Nothing really different. Just a matter of it's hard to connect. There's so much music out there. So developing a community. That's really what I'm trying to do, is develop the community. It's not really like, okay, blowing up, but to develop a community of people that actually, can relate to my music. Because it's like, okay, I mean, some of my songs, not everybody, it's not for everybody. My music isn't for everybody. It can be very reflective sometimes. It depends what you're into, really. And I feel like I got almost every type of emotion. I cover a lot of different areas. Because I deal with a lot of emotions, I'm an emotional type of person. And I use that and I put that in the music. So, I'm not always the same person every day. I'm different every day. That's what I like about it. I get different aspects of myself, and I get to see that in my music. For me, it's therapeutic. Use the music as therapy, and it's a passion. It's a hobby. It's just something I enjoy doing. But it's also, very time consuming, and it costs money as well. That's what, I feel like it separates me from other artists. I'm different from other artists in a lot of different ways, but I don't need to sell like it's like a lot of people say good dope sells itself. Some people say that. So that's where I am. I'm at that point. I say if it's hot, it'll pop. If not, then it doesn't, then it doesn't. I'm not gonna let it get to me in any way. It's just how it is, how life works, or what's meant to be and what isn't. There's people that are more fortunate and unfortunate. So, you can't always look at it that way. All I know is I did what I wanted to do and I was able to do it. And some people can't always say that. So I had the means and the resources to do it. So I'm grateful for that at the end of the day. So that's all I got to say. G2 tomorrow. I just completed the track list. Now I got to set everything up to get it uploaded. It's not going to be on streaming services right away. Probably going to be a couple days maybe. Maybe it'll be on streaming services. I'd say by next Friday. It should be on all streaming services. But at this point, it's going to be up on YouTube tomorrow at 9 p.m. Alright, appreciate anybody listening. Figuccio, that Don Figuccio Studios. 2.